Please.
Welcome, everyone. Thanks a lot for coming along on a Wednesday for Artificial Intelligence and Policies. My name's Gina Ingrouille from Effective Policy. Sheila's here with us, and we've got a few people in the room, and this recording will go out to all the other attendees who are maybe not able to make it. We've also got Lisa, who's come into the room. Welcome. Sheila will let people in if they trickle in. Otherwise, we'll kick off and we'll send you the recording. Uh, how is everyone today?
Good, thanks.
Good. Good to hear. Good to hear. Good to hear. Um, I'm gonna walk us through my PowerPoint. I've been thinking about this for a little bit, but I mean, obviously, when AI came out, officially, I mean, AI has been around for a long time in all sorts of ways. But when we, finally found ourselves being able to avail ourselves to Chat GPT, which is the sort of source of most of the AIs, or probably all of them. I've kind of played with it and watched, and it's just waiting a little while, obviously, to have something to say. But now, yeah, I do have something to say that I want providers to know, to save you guys problems. So we've compiled it together, what we would want you to know, what we've learned, and what we've had to accept and work around. So let me share the screen with you in the first instance. Okay, and I'll pop us into presentation mode. Here we are. Okay, so yeah, so it is a bit of a balanced discussion. I love AI. Absolutely love it. I mean, what's not to love about it? There are some things not to love about it, I guess, and I'm aware of those. But there's a lot I do love about it, and whether we love it or we don't love it, it's here to stay. In terms of in the public domain, it's been around for a really long time. I've been very fortunate to have been exposed to AI for a really long time because my son, he's now 37, maybe 38, can't remember. But he got his master's in artificial intelligence and his bachelor's in computing. And he's been working in AI ever since he graduated and even during his graduation. So my first introduction to artificial intelligence in a big way, in a substantial way, really blew me out of the water because my son was at university doing all sorts of things. He was also part of the working group with the AI at Uni of New South Wales, and his team, so they compete in artificial intelligence, which is coding and teaching and learning, machine learning, etc. And they compete worldwide in a number of different categories in AI, and we're talking, gosh, 2008, probably 2009, maybe. And his team competed in Graz in Switzerland, not Switzerland, no, wait on, Austria. In Austria, so we all toddled off to Austria to watch the uni teams compete, and his competition platform was in his year, which I think it might have been third year or something, was Robo Cup, and you might have heard Robo Cup. It's robots playing soccer, and there were others as well. There were other categories in artificial intelligence and robots. Some of them were the rescue bots, which would go into collapse buildings or go and dismantle bombs. And it was just, this might be, just another day for everybody else. But for me, it just, I've been no stranger to computers either, but it just blew my mind just to watch what these young kids, these young people were doing, and the PhD students working on the bots that would go into disaster zones and stuff like that. I was just blown away, and just wasn't the first time I'd watched them code because I'd actually been to another competition that he'd done in year 12 or year 11. Um, and that blew me away in the first instance. But this artificial intelligence and then learning how they learn, and I started to read a lot about how they learn, and it really is so very interesting. So he's been doing that for a long time. So wherever I've had an issue, a question, I've been able to speak to my son and not have to rely on Google or pay someone, you know, as he, because I would say, no, but this is artificial intelligence. She goes, Mum, it's what I do all day. I do it all day. So it's really been very fortunate to have him to fall back on and ask him questions. And um, so I've explored it. And what I wanted to do in the first instance, I'll try not to talk too much because sometimes I talk past the slide. Alison tells me I'll I'll I mean, I've got a lot to say, but sometimes I will talk and get past the slide. So yeah, look, we are using it for streamlining stuff. Great. It's fabulous. There is a lot of fabulous things about it. It helps me, and I would be probably a minute compared to young, savvy AI people. I would be, a minor in relation to what they're doing. But I still use it a lot to do my daily work, for organizing and structuring and things like that. Um, what I want you to know is that what I've noticed is, and I had to do my own homework, like I said. So in the first instance, I wanted to test it. I wanted to see, I knew everyone was going to start writing their policies, writing their, building whatever it is they wanted to build. I knew they were going to do that. So what I did was updates to the aged care had come out, and I thought, okay, I'm going to write some prompts. I tested a few prompts. I probably tested about 5 or 10 prompts first. And then I refined my prompt. And I was happy with my refine of that prompt to write my first policy against the aged care standards. And it was pretty good. And I felt quite happy with that prompt. Um, but I want people to understand that the prompt has AI is great, but you got to remember it's generative. It wants you to be happy. It will make things up. And I never want you to forget that. It is not always right, even in the first place, and it will make things up. Okay. Because it's, as my son will say to me, it's generative. Okay. So, in a way, you kind of need to be expert level in something, whatever it is you're doing, to be able to pick the problems. Okay. So it is okay for me. I can pick the problems. Ali can pick problems. I can pick problems. We can pick problems. But not everyone has the skill to pick problems in NDIS policies and procedures and tools and forms and agreements and contracts and things like that. And if you did, you wouldn't probably need to, go to other people to help you to get ready for audit because you'd know it. So I know it like the back of my hand. And if you knew it, you wouldn't need help from others, basically. So it became quite clear to me. So that it took a couple of months really because, I had to find time to do the prompts, build the policies, read them, mark out where there are issues, go back, write another prompt. So it was, I was, it was in a learning phase. And then like I said, when I got it as good as I could, there's no way I was going to use it. I still paid one of my staff um, to audit them, every single one of them, under each of those standards. There's 8 standards with multiple policies throughout them, and then I had to I paid her to correct them, and what it was missing was the things that only people who know what they're talking about know. It wasn't that there were particularly what's the word compliance issues, but there was a lack of there was a vagueness and a lack of that there would be no way that explained to anybody what to do. It was far too bare boned, right? So although in some ways there would have been an ability to meet the standards, it wouldn't have had that little bit extra, which would give that quality aspect to a policy. And in fact, there would be places where it didn't meet the compliance anyway, because it didn't have the right context. So, I spent a lot of time on prompts. So how many more do I want to go back and write? So um, I don't think you could. I don't think I could have filled in those things at all. So we filled it in with our knowledge combined. She's 30 years working in disability and aged care. I'm about the same. We filled it in with our knowledge. We filled it in with stories and case scenarios. That is pretty difficult for AI to do. It can do it, but they're not always going to be something that's teachable and usable. So I wanted you to see how much work it took to get a set of aged care standards that are usable. And I scratched my head when I say usable, but I would still, from a quality perspective, want to put more in. Um, because policies are not just about meeting a set of standards. Policies are there. Actually, who wants to tell me what policies and procedures are really for?
For guiding.
They what? For guiding? They're for guiding. That's what they're for. Sure, they have to meet quality standards as well. Of course they do. But they're for guiding. It's something that you pick up when you don't know what to do, which is what I see very much lacking in the NDIS sector because we don't have a base, population of people who are running organisations who have those skills behind them that we would have had in our block funded services. Um, so we just don't have the skill level. So yeah, it's even more important because we're putting policies out there, forms, tools, templates that may, and here's the kicker, get you into trouble at audit. And let me tell you at the same time what was happening. I've had now 3 sets of policies and procedures come to me from people who have been put into 90-day review cycles. Okay. Now, one of them, I'm not going to say who they are, but if anyone wanted to know personally, so they stayed away from them, of course I'd tell you, but personally, not in a webinar. So if I just go back to my PowerPoint. So I want you to know that. Now, I also want you to know that it wasn't, there's also Joe Blow who starts a consulting service and they do. All right. So Joe Blow is seeing AI, wow, I can do this. And there has been a lot of AI, a lot of LMS providers pop up since AI was introduced as well. So I want you to be aware of that as well. But I want to give you the scenario of what happened. So the first one came in and they had been, well, the first one came to me via an auditor who said, look, I've got this client. They've come to me with this particular person's policies. They're new in the consulting market. She said, I've ordered them before. They were awful. I'm just going to say now that I'm still in stage one to her, go and get some new ones. These are just going to get you, a 90-day review cycle, basically. So that person got saved from that. Then the next person came to me with, they were already in the 90-day review cycle. And she said, I bought them from X and I looked up X and I saw who it was. It was an NDIS auditor that I had audited with at an audit company about 4 or 5 years ago. I remember thinking, based on her, like when we met, we all said where we came from, what we did for a living. I remember thinking, you just don't have the experience to be doing NDIS audits. she'd come from doing audits in another area, but it certainly wasn't disability service or delivery of health services. So 5 years later, she set herself up in this consultancy, sold these policies. Clearly, they were AI written because they were so far from the mark, it's not funny. And the non-conformities she got in the first instance, this particular provider, um, the audit company was so nice. They said, look, you have got so many non-conformities. Here they all are. I'm going to give you a week. They don't have to do that. I'm going to give you a week to fix them. Okay. So they were so lovely about that. She's gone back to the provider, and the provider has said to her, and I think it's really important that you hear, the consultant has said to her, um, oh, they're just Nazis. That's just ridiculous. Like that they're just being silly and over the top. And she said, all right, I'll fix them. So she's fixed them. Then she's gone back for her 1 week later, and they said, a lot of the ones in the core, they've been fixed. She said, but these ones in module one, they're still not fixed. There's no remediation to the issues we clearly outline. And here's the words, guys, clearly outlined. And this was an NDIS auditor who wrote these. And this is what really gets me, and it gets all of us at Effective Policy, and some colleagues of mine, is so she clearly thought it was okay with no expertise to just write a set of module one policies and procedures. So this woman um, came to us, and uh, you know, at the end of the day, we just said, you know, you can, a couple of things, we can fix them for you, or you can buy this. She goes, I've just had enough. Can I just buy yours? And I said, yeah, you can. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to write a draft for you, because it's not the first time I've had to do this. Write a draft email, send it to this person, asking for your money back and for what's the word, compensation for the $3,500 additional audit that you'll be having. She immediately got I haven't checked in with her as to whether she got the audit. That hadn't happened at that point, so maybe she hadn't. But I'd like to think that this person did the right thing and was able to refund her for the audit that she was forced into. And then the stress, there's an enormous amount of stress on top of that. So that's one that I want you to know about. So it's not just cowboys, it is also NDIS auditors jumping ship and maybe doing it. They're not allowed to do it at the same time, but a lot are. So, these are the pitfalls which really want you to understand. Now, I also want to say up front that in 2 years' time, when those policies have been through so many audits and so many providers have paid the price for them to be up to standard, they'll be fine. But that's not fair. So I want you guys and everyone that listens to this in the future to take a really good look at who you're going to for any kind of policies, even consulting. I mean, if a person would do that, I can't see that they could be a particularly good mouthpiece for advice either, as well. So be very, very careful. So much money is spent on people who are not doing the right thing. So there's a couple of scenarios, and we're still seeing AI coming through our own internal process auditing, where we see people have written things themselves, and they at least they're not being charged exorbitant amounts of money by someone. They're writing it themselves, and it's not very good. Case in point, we had a provider we did an internal audit for. He gave us a 26-page business plan. It was gobbledygook. Well, it had some business planning stuff in there, but it didn't meet the NDIS requirements. And it didn't have there wasn't a real SWOT to ask for the SWOT analysis. There wasn't one. The AI just made it up for him. So, there's a there's a dishonesty behind that as well, So none of that was passable. 26 pages, you are going to annoy. You're just going to have an auditor offside by giving them a 26 page. Unless you are multi-state, not for profit or organization that's that large, where we might expect a 26-page business page plan, maybe. But if you're going to be handing auditors 26-page business plans, you want to make it really good reading. Otherwise, they're going to be annoyed. So there's a few. There are many more situations where people have been inconvenienced, charged money that they may never get. That's only the people that I know of. There will be many others. You know who the winners are from this? The winners are the consultants for whom people may never approach for their money back. Um, the winners are also the audit companies who are going to make billions of money on lots of 90-day review cycles. Yeah. So they're the winners, and the losers are the NDIS providers. And yeah, the losers are the NDIS providers. So for us today, I just want to, help you to understand the arguments for and against AI policies and documents and the pitfalls and what to know if you're going to do it, examining where AI can safely contribute to your innovation and efficiency. I'm showing you some cases where it hasn't worked out well for the end user, the provider, in a commercial perspective. You need to have yourself a mental framework for how to decide uh, how much you can which things you would leave to AI, and which things you wouldn't. And then if you do use the AI, what are you going to do for your quality, and authenticity and fit for purpose actions? Because you can't escape that. As trying to escape that will, if you're a registered provider, get you non-conformities most likely. And if you're an unregistered provider, well, obviously your days are numbered as an unregistered provider anyway. So you'll eventually be facing the same music that everybody else is, but you'll also have guidance that isn't really fit for purpose. Having said that, there are so many providers out in the market who don't even read their policies anyway, and there are lots of wonderful providers who do. So I think I don't know what everyone's level of understanding is, but um, you know, is everyone aware of what generative AI is? Can you do like a thumbs up for those I do have in the room? Generative, it's a yes from Joe. Kate, Fiona, what's you're aware of generative as opposed to non-generative? Well, look, I haven't got an answer from you, so or is there something in the chat? Not really. Okay. So it means it's going to create. So generative is it's creating. So it's going to take what you've got and use some of that, but it might pull in some other stuff from the internet. But it also might, where there's a gap, and my son explains it, where there's a gap, even if you pick, the highest level of AI, where there's a gap, it's going to fill it. Yeah. You ask it for something, it's going to do the right thing wherever it's possible, but it doesn't want to disappoint you a lot of, and so it's going to fill the gap. And that's where you're going to see some really funny stuff, okay? Really funky stuff. And, that's where you need to be careful. You'll get an answer to something and it's way off. So you have to be really aware of how much do you know about what you're asking it to do? Are you willing to quality check it? And basically build that framework in your mind about what you're asking of it, Because you might ask it to update your policy because there's just been an update. You think, oh, just get AI to update it. I'm just going to say, there's been a change to the blah, blah, blah practice standard. Please update this policy to reflect it. You're going to have to audit that against the standard. You're going to still have to see if it fits the purpose of what the change was, okay? Because it can make things up and it sometimes won't. It's only going to give you an answer and a product that's as good as the prompt that you give it. And that's why I say you have to know a bit about what you're doing to be able to give it the best prompts. Okay. The prompt is everything. And I am speaking from, I'm channeling my son when he first tried to make me go. He tried to make me go onto, I was using a marketing tool. This is early on. Yeah. I was using a marketing tool called Creatify. And it was, it could build my social media and make the things and all that sort of thing. And he went, well, Mum, he's going, no, I want you to, Mum, Mum, you guys say, Mum, I want you to go, I want you to use ChatGPT. I went, no, exactly, I can't do that. I can't do that. I can't do any more work. He goes, Mum. Eventually, he got me to shut up long enough and to listen long enough. And he showed me what it does and the connections that ChatGPT has that it's aligned to, and then he told me the secret, which is they're all built off ChatGPT, Mum. Everything's built off it. They've just taken it and built themselves an agent called Creatify or an agent called blah blah. That's all there is. So with your prompts, you can still get what Creatify is making. It won't be quite so packaged all in the one thing, but it's still going to work. And he's absolutely right. I've never had to use one of those packages ever again because it's the prompt. So when you see people coding, people, computer developers and software writers, or etc., they code. It's a prompt. So the better your prompt, the better the product. And so it's about getting your prompt right. If you can get your prompt really good, you're going to get a really good product. And that'll have less issues with it. So the more I worked on that prompt for the policies in my testing phase, um, the more I worked on the prompt, the better it got. Remember, I said I spent hours and lots of iterations before I got something that I was even happy with getting audited, and it still needed work. So I think the bottom line is, do you have time to do that? If you really wanted to do it so that you are not going to go into a 90-day review cycle, do you have time to do it? If you have the time to do it, which is going to probably be 2 to 3 times more than it would cost you to buy the policies, you just got to weigh that up. That's going to be different for everybody. For me, that was a really fun exercise and I really wanted to do it. And I have to do something often to understand its pros and cons. But I was still, how can I put it into a financial thing? I was probably still 30 hours away from them being fit for purpose. At my very last iteration of those aged care policies, I think Amy probably spent at least 30 hours of work to do the updates. Oh, well, the audit and the updates. Yeah. So, and if you ask, if you ask AI to audit it for you, well, that's just silly because it's still going to be generative. Yeah. You can, with the right prompts, ask it to audit something, but it might not be precise. So I just want everyone to go in knowing that it might not be precise. It does make things up and fill gaps in. Your prompt is the only buffer between it making things up and it not doing that because it has to be so strict. I have written prompts that have been a page long. So if you're willing to write a prompt that's a page long, um, you're going to get a much better product. Yeah. So knowing that, um, that's what you need to know. And when you're getting a dud set of policies or tools or something, you're possibly getting something that's been written in AI. The other, and it stands to reason. It makes sense to me now, the prompts and the code, I've seen 11, 12, 13 pages of coding that Mitchell has been sitting doing. It's just, apparently my grandson said they test each other's typing. My grandson said he types at 300 words a minute. I can't believe it, but I think coders do. I think coders are just, like 100 miles an hour or 300 miles an hour on their thing. So the code is the prompt. Okay, it's good. As good as the prompting is going to reflect your product. So coming back to, so that's the most important part of this, to be honest, is just simply understanding that. Um, if there's any questions around particular things that I might have tried, I'm very happy to give you my feedback on what I found good and what I didn't find good. But in the long haul, I'm really really trying to save you from making mistakes that are going to end up being costly. Not only are they costly, remember if you go into a 90-day review cycle, you will end up on the list. It's called a compliance order. So they don't call it a suspension. It's not a banning or a suspension, but it will be notated as on the NDIS public list. It will be noted as a compliance order. Okay. So it's not something everybody wants. Yeah, so basically, I have sort of spoken about it from how I've learned from my son. So, AI is that technology that enables computers and machines to simulate a human learning and comprehension, problem solving, decision making, and a creative, and it has autonomy too because it makes things up. Um, we're talking about generative AI, as I've already discussed. Yes, deep learning models are better. They are better. They're better because they will it can access research materials and things like that, but you still have to check, okay? This was my real world example, which I've given you. I tried 3 times, get the perfect policies, use a variety of, yeah, I've been through that. Um, what else can I say? I've seen some auditors. I've had some audit reports when we've done internal audits for providers. I've had some audit reports where I can see that they've used AI and where they have and it's been incorrect, I've pointed it out. So that's a bit naughty. Actually, I've actually reported an auditor that used, whenever I see an auditor, NDIS auditor, charging $1,800 a day, I report it because that's not what you're paying for. You're not paying someone to put it through AI so that they can go to the beach that day instead of do the audit. Um, I think I've touched on those, understanding the arguments for and against AI policies. Um, if you remember, I think that the takeaway for this is that you still need to be knowledgeable and a bit of an expert in your area to come out with the best ones. So the pros are time saving, the cost effectiveness, you don't need to be an expert. The cons, the pros aren't really true. That's Ali's humour, but it's true. It isn't going to save you time. It isn't going to be cost effective. And you do need to be an expert to get good ones. All right. Because we're not talking about just some document. We're talking about a document that has to align to a whole range of things that's going to be hopefully looked over with a fine tooth comb by the paid auditor. So going back to the aged care policies, um, tell me, with the examples I've given you, how do the pros look for you? And I'd really appreciate verbal feedback. How do those pros really look for you after hearing what I said? Do they still look like pros? Does it still look like time saving and efficient and I don't really need to have real world knowledge? Um, I'd be really interested in hearing what you've taken away from some of those examples I gave you. Is anyone willing to give me a status quo of their thinking?
Oh, I found the unmute there.
Oh,
Sorry, it was hidden behind. I'm on my iPad, not the computer.
no worries.
You actually just sound like the conversation I just gave my son last week.
Mm,
It's don't take, and this is probably from me, but don't take the personal out of life. Copilot's so generative. I didn't use
mm,
the word generative, and I wanted you to clarify it, but
mm.
I said that in a different words. But
That's okay for an
yeah,
email to and from each other. Generative's
yeah,
great.
but
You
we
want to make
mustn't
up some.
lose the personal. We mustn't lose
No,
personal in the world when addressing
yeah.
staff, participants, and the world. Yeah.
Well, that's benign if you're just doing it in an email to and from each other. It's not
Oh yeah.
benign. It's not benign for you, is it? If you've got generative AI in your policies, but it's going to cost you another $3,500 and and your
Yeah.
name up in lights on the NDIS Commission's website, and it's not
From
fair.
from from my perspective, and I've always probably felt this, that us service providers, we don't need to be the expert of everything. That's
No,
your job.
yeah,
Why would I? Why would I? That you
that's what you're
obviously like
paying
policy and
for.
procedures, but
Exactly.
yeah, but why would we ever
Yeah.
consider doing it ourselves?
Yeah, but there'll be a lot of people that are hopefully going to watch this, and I would hope that try, I would hope that this is going to save people time, stress, um, and that embarrassment too of like having that 90-day review cycle, not a good feeling,
Yeah,
I imagine. Um, so yeah, not really saving any time, not really cost effective, and expert free, no. You still have to have it audited. And if you try to get it audited in AI, you'll just end up back on the merry-go-round. Um, so if you do know some stuff, yeah, you can make it work. But not everyone knows some stuff. And I think that's what we established is that there are some people out there that do know the standards well and have worked in the sector a long time. And they're a great candidate to be able to write this. But I've got to go back and say, the one that sold to the other person, she'd been auditing in NDIS since I met her in 2019. So not always something that you can take to the bank. Yeah. Just got to,
yeah,
unfortunately, it's a cowboy industry until there's a set of standards written um, for NDIS consultants, and I do believe I've spoken to a few people, few organisations like myself, and I do believe they have a set of standards in process, and they're trying to go through Standards Australia and bring the NDIS Commission on to agree with that. And I would really love to see that because there are some people in some of those consulting organisations who should never have been there in the first place, and a lot of people have suffered for it. Um, I think, yeah, here we go. This is the one. It wasn't a business plan. It was an emergency and disaster plan. I had some red flags. It was AI in the first place. Do you know what the red flags are for being AI? Do you know how we can tell just from a glance?
there's a color under the wording or something.
I think it's stopped using it now. But it might be just in mine for, my emails and stuff. It does an elongated hyphen. And I believe that a place where there should be a comma. That's my take on that. But the elongated hyphen is there. Dead giveaway. Look at your next social media post that you're looking at, and you'll see it for yourself. People don't seem to have doesn't seem to bother some people that there's an elongated something that you haven't got on your own keyboard. There, don't like that. It randomly bolds the words that it thinks are important. Um, which
It replaces the Z, the S with the Z.
Well,
That's
that's not
another one.
AI. Spell check will do that. Any
Spell
spell
check
check will do
will.
that. Yeah.
It will, but it's also another way to tell when in
Okay.
Australia. Yeah.
It's another red flag. Yep. So we've got what else we got? Oh, it's written in Aptos, which has now been added to the fonts on Word, and Excel and Canva and everything else, because it gives you the font instead of, like, I like Arial. I like Arial for written work. It does it in Aptos. So when you get something and it's in Aptos font, it could be quite, and and then you've got the hyphen, which is long, and you've got a few bolded words, etc. It'll also at times do dot points that are not actually the real bullet point, and you can't go to your um, bullet point formatting and remove them because they're not real. What else does it do? Not sure, but those things are a real dead giveaway to start with. And so that's this business plan that we got, 42 pages long. It was vague, very badly formatted, which I would call a lot of the AI stuff. Wasn't customized to the business, and it didn't include any. Oh, have you ever experienced AI making up links for you? It makes up links. Also, if you're going to, because it just wants, like my son says, it's generative. It doesn't want to say it doesn't know. Yeah.
Right, gonna have some lunch, I suppose.
So yeah, so look out for those things. They're a dead giveaway. And if people know that they are, they might think, oh gosh, that's all AI. So this disaster and emergency plan would have been no good for anyone. So where it can contribute safely to innovation and efficiency, which it really, really can, because it's generative. So it's not a search engine, it's not a miracle worker. It is designed to give you the answer you want. If it doesn't know how to do something, it's going to make it up, but it does it with confidence, okay? Because it wants you to keep using it. That's what's built into its system, Mitchell says. It wants you to keep using it, okay? So if you know your source material and you're using AI to reconfigure something, it can be wonderfully helpful. If you've got large amounts of information you need structured, it's wonderful. But please tell it, don't take anything away, okay? Because it will. It will remove things. You've got to be very clear in your instructions to this machine. If you're relying on AI to create your quality and safety materials, you'll be in trouble. Make up your learning framework for deciding when you'll use it in policy or tools and when you won't. So you draw your bottom line. It will be based on a few factors. It'll be based on if you're an expert, not a real expert, don't know anything. It'll be based on what the material is. Could it be life-saving? Could it mean, if it says the wrong thing and something happens and I get taken to court, is that policy going to be the thing that seals my fate? Yeah. So you've got to decide, build your framework, know what your matrix for decisions are about what you're going to use. Auditing, you can't get around it. Just because you've AI policies doesn't mean they're going to be scrutinized at audit either. Some auditors pretend they're auditing and they don't. You just have to audit everything. So if you're going to do it, you're going to make it, you have to check them. It's on you to check them or pay someone to check them for you. AI in the workplace. It's in our policy and procedures. So if you use our policies and procedures, we've already updated to the Australian AI ethics principles, which I won't go through, but it is, these are them. They can be seen in our policies, or you can actually find this online. Best practice in health and human standards data includes using tools and software that have a strong security posture. ISO 2000, ISO 27001 is for information management, and it is HIPAA compliant as well. Check some of your softwares as well. The ones that have got a lot of your incredibly important data, and check that they are holding it in the right way as well. No participant information can be used in any AI tool, including automation, scribing, etc. Okay, you must ask their permission before you even allow an AI tool to record a meeting about them. And of course, you need to remove their information if it's going broader than your organization. But there needs to be consent, so your consent forms need to be updated. But you also need to ask them. And a lot of people are against AI in terms of they don't want you to use it. I know a physio who works in AI himself in the university, and he hates it. He won't let me record any meetings I have with him because he's absolutely frightened that they can record the image, someone can grab the image, pretend to be him, his dad is aging. He's just frightened someone's going to go and scam his dad. All the personal data that goes into the AI system and any outputs, transcripts, summaries are subject to the Privacy Act requirements. So be very aware of that. Where possible, all personal information should be de-identified. For example, if you're going to do, for example, I might take a support plan or behavior support plan and turn it into training. I have to de-identify it before I ask AI to give me a rough outline. It never gives me a piece of training that is ready to go. Never. It always needs work, always. But does it cut down on the putting it in? Yeah, it does. And that's a big deal for me. It's a really big deal that I don't have to keyboard all of that in. And my God, using a Word document and then asking Microsoft Word to turn it into a PowerPoint is just garbage. It leaves out all the good points. And even getting AI to take a Word document and turn it into a training output doesn't really work either unless I have a really long prompt telling them what I really want. Yeah, because it's deciding what's important and it's usually wrong about what's important. So I think we're pretty much at the end. So conclusion is, this is just my conclusion. Remember, I'm not telling anybody what to do. I'm telling you my experience. I'm telling you where I got a lot of my information from, what I've learnt, how I've managed to make AI work and what things I'll use it for and what things I won't. Artificial intelligence offers exciting new opportunities to improve efficiency and streamline processes and support innovation, but it's not without its risks. The key takeaways is AI should never replace human judgment. Instead, it should serve as a tool that complements your expertise and strengthens the quality of practice. By applying careful oversight to it and keeping participant outcomes at the centre, you guys can decide when AI policies and procedures are truly worth it. But I can promise you it'll cost you 3 times the price, basically, of in your time and effort and paying somebody else to help you. It will cost you a lot more than just, using the ones you've got or purchasing or getting them updated, etc. So I hope that was really helpful. Please be very careful out there when you're buying something. Be careful about your learning stuff as well. Like at the same time ChatGPT came up, I noticed a couple of new LMS organizations pop up a month or 2 later. Just scrutinize, just be aware, just know and go in knowing. So yeah, I hope that was helpful for you. There's a lot of really good things it can do, especially reducing information. I find it fabulous for analysing information. I still have to check it though. Yeah.
So when you prompt for a document though, you'll tell you obviously say what you want it to do, but you always prompt don't change, don't take anything out. Is that something common you would say?
Unless I want it to. So for example, if I have a policy and procedure and I know it meets the NDIS quality and safety standards, right? Okay, and let's just say, I want to make a cheat sheet. I want to take this and I want to make a cheat sheet, right? I will say, I want you to do XYZ, blah, blah, blah. I want to blah, 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 blah. Do not take anything out. You can rearrange it, you can recontext it, but do not remove any concepts or, that's what I'll say.
Yeah.
Something to that effect, because, yeah, just chops the whole bloody lot out. So it's really fun, actually, like learning how to give instructions that will get you what you need. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's just that I purchased I have always had policy and procedures purchased from somebody, and I've never had an issue with audit, except for now that you've brought yours out, I've gone with yours because I probably have always followed you. But so yeah, I have to go through them, nut them out, look at the forms, but I want to simplify some maybe pictures and processes for staff.
Yeah, I think the
to make
simplifying,
them
like,
interesting, but
be
not
careful.
change
Yeah.
anything, of course. But
That's
yeah.
it. That's it. Yeah. I took my policies and procedures when it was the first thing I did, actually, when AI came out, and I thought, oh, what if I can turn this into a handbook? Problem is, it kept on removing things, and and I thought, oh, that's going to be some work. So I put that on the back burner. Because yeah, it's there's a really good reason why coding will be sometimes 11, 12, 20 pages for a coder. It's because they're learning every time they get a product that it's not quite giving them what they want, but okay, now I've got to say this. Same for us, we're just doing it in English,
Yeah.
It's super exciting. I've made some good stuff, and I have taken some support plans, and a couple of behavior support plans, and turned them into training. But I always add my own stories.
Yeah.
We've all got stories. You can add your own stories. So there you go. So yeah, be careful. It's all about the prompt. Look over everything that you've made and be really careful about taking them to audit. Yeah.
Thank you. Yep.
Okay, my
I'll
pleasure.
get on that consent.
Yes, the consent. So if you're using a
hadn't thought of
scribe,
that.
yeah,
Yep.
absolutely. If you're using a scribe, definitely do that. You could, if you wanted, even go further, and when you talk about a client, you can give them an initial.
Yeah, I never
it's
put
up to
names
you.
in, but I haven't asked participants. I don't put their names in. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. The other thing I asked my son was, I've got all these ideas and I don't want to put them in chat. He goes, as long as you've got a paid one, Mum. This is where he goes, Mum, Mum.
Yeah.
He goes,
Yeah.
Mum. When you've got a paid ChatGPT account or whatever account, it's a container. It's cut off from the rest. It never mixes with anybody else's. If you go free, yeah, it's going to share. It's going to share with ChatGPT. They're going to take your information, and they can, because they're giving it to you free. But when you're paid, it is implicitly required that your information can't be shared with anyone because it's containered off in a paid account.
Oh, okay. That's good.
So everyone says, oh no, use AI, it's going to go with everyone. Not if it's in a paid account.
Yeah, no, I paid for ChatGPT. Yep.
Yeah, so it's walled off.
Perfect.
Yeah. So yeah, okay. Great. Anything else? Any other interesting
Joe
comments?
has shared a link in chat so that's everyone to access.
What is it?
It's the TAFE SA. They've got this micro-credential course for AI, and it's a good course. It's long.
Is it?
It's good, yeah.
Is it built? So it's a micro credential. Okay. I might get Mitch to write me one. What did it give you? What do you think you took away from it that was good, Joe?
I'm still going through it. Like I've been working with AI too, but I didn't know. When you ask who knows what generative is,
I
didn't know
know.
until 2 days ago that's what it is.
Yeah.
So this course is really good for breaking up, informing you of stuff like that. All the different language and lingo, and
Yeah.
the gender bias side of things. It goes through a whole load of things that are really, really very useful, very helpful.
In the beginning, I would say, because I do a lot of statistical stuff as well for, training and that, and I would say, literally, right? This is it. So it's like it's built by the left, the very far left of politics. I'm not sort of saying where I sit on that, but it's just obvious because I would say, okay, this population, that population, that population. Oh, I can't break that down. It's, oh no, I don't want to talk about that. No, we're not. It's like, no. Just give me the details. Just give me the data. Do you know what I mean? It's so programmed that if you said the word, Muslim, right? It thinks you're attacking Muslims. And I no, please, this is scientific. I need religions. I need all of this to be able to know who the customer and the market is. So eventually it's come around and it's not doing that at me anymore. But that's what it's programmed. That's what it'll do straight up. So
So
gender
the
bias
learning
makes perfect sense that it would do that.
Yep. It's
quite strange like that. But anyway, I've got the information. I mean, a data cube, if you download a data cube, it's not going to tell you, no, I'm not going to give it's not going to tell you, I'm not going to give you that information. That's ridiculous. It's interesting. It's good fun.
Good course to do for everyone.
Yeah, thanks for bringing it to my attention. And maybe we can, how long do you think it'll be?
Well, I'm only on topic 2, and there's all these subtopics. I think topic 2 has 24 topics.
Whoa. Okay.
They're all short. They're all short. I'm only on the second topic now. I really don't have much time, but I think the
what
first
the most
topic
valuable things to know about are then, Joe, and you guys too, because we could build something just to go on the LMS. It doesn't have to be 3 miles long, but something generative was something that you guys didn't know. What else did you not know, and what else do you think is something that you'd want to know?
I didn't know about the biases. Just different things. I didn't know how to actually look out for videos, whether they were AI or not. Like it actually trains you, shows you videos, and then you have to pick which one was AI, which one wasn't.
At the moment, I can still pick them, but I don't know how long before.
Yeah, they're saying it's getting really, really difficult. Before, people weren't blinking, and now people are blinking. So it's continuously learning. Yeah.
Bias videos, real or not. What else, Fiona, were you saying also what else did you not know? So we'll put everything that was in this, but then
I'll tell you probably AI's in my world probably necessarily limited. The biggest thing I do is just quickly put documents in and stuff like that, and Copilot tidy them up.
Which is good. Yeah.
Doing those SOPs and having a house meeting and you use decisions. That's what I use in AI generative transcripts, and then whack it in the Copilot and make it tasks. That's probably the most work that I do.
Okay. Let me just do a short one, not as long as that one, and at least people will be able to send their staff to that maybe on our LMS. Okay. All right. That sounds really good. Thanks for the link, and thanks everyone for coming, and thanks everyone who watches in the future. Have a really good day, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye,
Bye-bye.